Ever thought of a high school student as a principal? Sounds like a disaster, right? Well, meet Zack Morris, who turned this nightmare into a reality in an episode of Saved by the Bell. This wasn't your typical day at Bayside High. It was student-teacher exchange day, and Zack Morris, everyone's favorite blonde-haired mischief maker, stepped into the shoes of the principal. You can almost see the gleam in his eyes as he took over Mr. Belding's office, probably thinking of all the school rules he could bend or break at his whim, and oh boy did he ride that power wave. From undermining Kelly's authority as a history teacher to letting his friends off the hook, Principal Zack was on a roll. But as with all things Zack, this power trip was bound to take a wrong turn. So, Zack Morris as a principal. A recipe for chaos or a stroke of genius? Spoiler alert, it's definitely not the latter. Now you'd expect a student-turned-principal to empathize with his peers, right? Not our dear Zack Morris. His reign was more like a dictatorship, with him abusing his authority left, right, and center. Think of the most absurd principal decision you've ever heard of. Zack probably has it beat. Remember that time when he decided to replace the school's nutritious lunches with junk food? Because who needs a balanced diet when you can have a sugar rush, am I right? And let's not forget his brilliant idea to cancel all the boring subjects, say goodbye to mathematics and hello to the history of comic books. Nothing screams educational louder than that. Zack's reign of terror didn't stop at the curriculum. He used his position to get out of detentions and even changed the school's start time to suit his own lazy morning routine. Talk about taking flexible hours to a whole new level. But wait, there's more. He also decided that school uniforms were suddenly passé. Instead, he encouraged everyone to dress like they were extras in one of his favorite music videos. Because nothing says serious learning environment like a neon spandex ensemble. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Zack decides to undermine Kelly's role as a teacher. Because, you know, who needs teamwork when you can have absolute power? As with all tyrants, Zack's downfall was inevitable. But boy, was it spectacular. Picture this, Zack Morris, the once beloved jock, now a feared dictator ruling his high school kingdom with an iron fist. But as they say, pride comes before a fall, and Zack's fall was nothing short of epic. It all started when his friends, the very ones who'd once admired him, began to turn against him. Kelly, the history teacher, was the first to revolt. She'd had enough of Zack's meddling, his undermining, his complete disregard for her authority. And who could blame her? No one likes a backseat driver, especially not in a classroom. Then came the chaos. And oh, what chaos it was. The hallways turned into a battlefield, students rebelling against the new regime. The once orderly school was now a scene straight out of a dystopian novel. The irony? Our dear Zack had created this mess all by himself. Slater and Screech, the gym teachers, were next to join the rebellion. Even Lisa, who'd always had a soft spot for Zack, couldn't stand by him anymore. It was a classic case of too much power, too little responsibility. And Zack, in all his arrogance, was too blind to see it. So what's the takeaway from Principal Zack's reign of terror? Well, high school students should probably stick to being students. And as for Zack Morris, yeah, he's trash. Now let's not be totally harsh on Zack. After all, he did teach us some important life lessons, like how not to be a principal or a friend. In the grand scheme of Saved by the Bell, Zack Morris has always been the epitome of a double-edged sword. In this episode, his reign as principal is a masterclass in how not to use authority. His blatant misuse of power and disregard for his friends' roles as teachers is, ironically, a lesson in itself. Respect for authority and the importance of maintaining professionalism in a role of power. But let's not forget the friendship lesson. His undermining of Kelly's role as a teacher was a clear violation of their friendship. It's as if he was saying, "Hey kids, want to know how to strain your friendships? Just follow my lead." And let's not overlook the most glaring lesson of all, how to be an absolute trash friend. From manipulating situations to suit his needs to blatantly disregarding the feelings of his friends, Zack Morris has provided a step-by-step guide on how not to be a friend. So, in a twisted Zack Morris kind of way, we did learn something. We learned exactly what not to do if we want to be good friends, responsible leaders, and overall decent human beings. And there you have it, folks. The saga of Principal Zack, a tale of power, betrayal, and absolute trash. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, Zack Morris is trash.